Yes, that is right, folks. I'm going to be interviewing the singer of the main theme to Sonic Frontiers, I'm Here, and the vocalist of To Octavia, Mary Kirk-Holmes. How are you doing today?
Hello, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Well, I just woke up. That's how I'm feeling. I'm
Right.
like, I'm like drenched, but I'm also happy you're here. So I'll get through it, no problem.
That's
Um,
good.
Anyways, the first question I'd like to ask you today is, how did you actually get into music?
Um, I'm not sure the complete origin, but I always loved it. Probably the the two games maybe that really got me into music were like Tony Hawk Pro Skater and the old WWE SmackDown vs. Raw. The soundtracks on those games, I think, really got me into music. But when I was like going from sixth grade into seventh grade, I started getting into like 90s Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins and so I started playing like guitar and singing and stuff around that time.
Ah, I see. And how did the whole Two Octavia sort of form, or how did you end up joining that band?
Well, the drummer and guitarist, the male guitarist and the drummer, they're actually twin brothers, so they've known each other forever. And our guitarist Molly, she met them in like early elementary school. So they've been friends forever, and I guess all liked the same music as each other, and then they started playing together. And Justin, our guitarist, he ended up seeing a video of me singing on Facebook or something when I had just moved to Melbourne and invited me to join the band. And yeah, so I did that, and now we're here.
Gee, absolutely incredible. And you've done two EPs so far with the band. The first EP I'd like to speak about first, which is Nocturnal,
Yep.
probably the heaviest release from the band. What was it like working on that EP?
Well, it was like our first time really recording anything ever, like properly. And we had a different vocalist who did the harsh vocals, and I just did the singing. So we all sort of we did like obviously we love metal and metalcore and heavy music, but I think throughout that process we decided that we liked the more, I guess, melodic sound, like for our songwriting style and our listening style. So when we evolved more to compensate for that, like with the second EP, that's when our old vocalist wasn't really on the same page with it all, and that's why the newer EP is far less heavy. But like I said, we still love heavy music, and that's why it is still like a metalcore record, I suppose.
Yeah, and I'd also like to speak about the latest EP you have, Somewhere in a World Not of a Dream. Very melodic. I found probably the most melodic of the EPs you've done, and I believe it was recorded during literal hell. So, what was it
Yeah.
like making that record?
Um, yeah, so a lot of the stuff was written over Zoom, like we're doing now. We had our producer in um like we were all in Melbourne, but all in different like suburbs, and so we were more than our 5 kilometer. We had like a lockdown radius. You couldn't travel more than 5 kilometers from your house. So except for me, like I could go to the producer's place. So we had to write everything via Zoom, and then when it came to recording, we were only allowed one person in at a time. So we had to go in on different days, and so I mean it freed me up with a lot of, because I wrote the vocals and melodies in the studio as well, like well, most of them anyway. So so it sort of freed me up from what I want, what I thought the band might like, and what I like personally, and like lyric wise as well. I got almost like complete creative control over the vocals anyway. Whereas a lot of the instruments we all sort of wrote together. So that was I mean, it took so long because of like having not being able to go in all at once and do everything all at once. We had to like segregate all the different instruments, and yeah, so it took like so much longer than it should have to be able to have a finished product. But
Yeah.
we're super happy with how it turned out, though. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, and it turned out really well. One of the songs on it that I really liked, and a lot of people seem to like, is "To the Sound of the Rain." How
oh
did
yeah,
that one sort of come about? Because like it's really melodic and everything. It's really good.
that was I think one of the first tracks where we um we were really excited about, like, we've found like our new sort of style, I guess, was with that song, how we have like the real heavy bits and then the real melodic bits, and then like electronic elements as well. And so I think the big thing for that was that we wrote the song so quickly. So from like start to finish, it was basically like one studio session of writing it, and then we even had enough time for me to lay some demo vocals down, and I did that the chorus, which is probably my favorite chorus that we have, and so that really got us excited about the possibilities of what new To Octavia could be. And we just followed along that train of thought, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like another one that maybe kind of like followed the style as you were mentioning there was a song called "COCO MOJO." I'd like to speak
Yeah,
about that because it's got like such a crazy name. You don't expect what it's gonna be until
yeah.
you listen to it. So how did that one sort of come about? And how did a name like "COCO MOJO" come into like a heavy metal sort of sounding song?
Yeah, so when we make a song, generally we won't have like the complete like final lyrics finished. We'll just have like maybe some guide vocals and maybe some lyrics if I have enough time to flesh any out. But generally, it's just one of us, perhaps the person who had the first idea that started the song, just makes sort of like a stupid name for just like the sake of having a name to save it on a file. And so, like, I think um, like there was a whole every single name is different than what it originally was in the demo list. But COCO MOJO, I just like really liked that. So I was like, if I can somehow like get this into the actual vocals, can we call the song COCO MOJO? And then they all said yes, because I guess like what you said, it's just unexpected, and we thought that might grab people's attention. It's the origin of it, I think, was Lucas, our drummer, and his brother Justin were in Bali in Indonesia somewhere, and there was like a cocktail drink special called the COCO MOJO or something. So that's what was floating around in his head when he came up with that.
Gee, free publicity for the drink, that's for sure. And another one of the songs that you did in the band, it was on the first EP, and it was sort of a slower one called "Do You Feel the Same? I Wonder." How did that one
Yeah,
sort of come about?
that was I think that was us really trying to see, like, I guess experiment with a different style, because I feel like that one's a lot more like earlier mixture of like hardcore and stuff, where they had these like ambient sort of melodic bits but with harsh vocals over the top. And I just really always liked that sort of dynamic, so we wanted to try it out. And yeah, I actually, that's probably my favorite song off the first EP. I really like it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It turned out well. And do you think like you might like in like a future EP or whatnot do more songs similar to that, like kind of slower sort of songs like that?
um we do sort of revisit those ideas in a lot, because we have been writing quite a bit this year, and we have a lot of new material, um, potential new material anyway. And so we have visited that sort of more slow melodic um, pace in a few of the songs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'll look forward to that if you eventually sort of make one. And another thing, also a bit more about your singing, actually, is that while listening to all the songs that you've done, I found that you had like a really strong like vocal range. Like you got like a lot of octaves. So how did you get that like strong vocal range?
Um, well, so I had this like crappy car that had like a cassette tape in it for my first car, and it had like a CD stack as well. But whenever you hit like a speed bump or something like that, sometimes it would just change to the cassette player, and you could there's no button to like change it back. It only went on when you put a cassette in. So I went home and just sort of went through all my things to and all of my mum's things. 'Cause I was like 17 at the time, trying to find a cassette, and there was one. It was Phantom of the Opera from the 80s. So I just put it in for the sake of just having something instead of silence, and I just loved it. So I started singing along to like all of these Phantom of the Opera hits, and then when I went in to do production for the first EP, um, because my natural voice I sort of set somewhere in the middle, but our producer kept writing these really high bits for me to sing as the harmony for the main vocal, and I liked those melodies better. So I said, why don't I sing that as like the main vocal? And so I just accidentally shot myself in the foot with having to having to sing so high for all of it. But I think I just with practice, I guess it just became more comfortable for me to do, and I like doing it.
Holy moly. So like you've only sort of learned singing like recently.
I've always been like keen on it, but I was never really that good. So I think maybe I started to get to a point where other people like my singing, yeah, probably only in the last 4 years, maybe. Because I always loved singing. Like as a kid, I just sucked at it, and everyone would just tell me to stop. But I was like, no, I want to do it. And yeah, eventually, I think yeah, it's just practice and practice. Finally, got somewhere with it.
And eventually prove them wrong, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And another thing as well, especially in like the latest EP, you do a load of like these like metal screams almost. How did you learn those? Like, how did you end up doing them?
Um, well, there's a band that my friend Will, he was the vocalist of this band called Wind Waker, and he did these really because there's like a it's like a low pitch and a scream like a growly thing, and I really liked their music, so I sort of taught myself how to do it, singing along to them, and because I can't really do well like very good like low screams, but I could do that, so instead of doing like typical low screams, I just straight up ripped him off in our music because I just love doing it. And I think he got it from Spencer from Periphery, I think, does some of those types of screams as well. So yeah,
Gee. And does it even like, does it maybe like even hurt your voice, or have you sort of like learned to like do the screams but not hurt your voice?
I definitely do that for like our live performances because yeah, I don't want to like hurt my voice at all. So I had to learn like the techniques to do it. But I don't think it sounds as good. So in the studio, I just like go as hard as I can and just blow out my voice. But
Yeah.
live and on tour and stuff, I'll always do the proper technique. I just yeah, I prefer what it sounds like when you're hurting yourself. So I do that for the recording, but I can't do it
Oh,
live.
that's funny. That's pretty funny. Yeah, and but I do find like over the years, like those metal screams, like maybe as a young kid I would have been able to do them no problem, but the older I get, the more hard it's gotten for me. In fact, I remember
Mm,
like speaking to like some girl from my secondary school. We were speaking about metal screams, and she was at the time saying, "Oh, metal screams, they're very impressive and hard to do." And I was like, I thought she was pranking me. But
yeah, right.
the older I get, the more I agree with her. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I thought that for sure when I was younger as well. I was like, no, you just yell as loud as you can until your voice breaks, and then you're screaming, right? Like that's how you do it. That's not how you do it.
There's a little more to it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
There's a little more. Um, let's actually just sort of push aside the two Octavia stuff for a little bit because a lot of people I say would be very interested to hear, especially myself, about I'm Here, the main theme for Sonic Frontiers. Firstly, how did you end up getting to sing the main theme of the latest Sonic game?
It will so we got this message that we just thought was spam. Like for real, just this random account, like with no followers or anything, has messaged us being like, yeah, like I'm from Sega or something, and I stumbled upon To Octavia, and I wanted to get the singer to work on a project. And we were just like, this is just scam, like this is bullshit. There's no way. So we were just like, yeah, just send an email to our managers. And so then we get this email that's from June from Sega, and then it turns out he had been messaging our producer like on LinkedIn and Instagram, trying to like track us down, like how he can get in touch with us, and so we were like, oh, okay, so this dude just stumbled upon To Octavia, and now he wants me to sing the melody for the new Sonic game. And it was a crazy like thought. Like it didn't feel real to me at all until it actually came out. Like recording it didn't feel real. Like the Zoom calls and all the meetings didn't feel real. And then it just got put up on YouTube like months and months later, and I was like, oh crap, like this is real, like this happened. And yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely crazy, and that's mad that like Jun Sonoe messaged you of
Yeah,
all the people. Like one of the, I mean, like he's one of the big composers there, and like a
yeah,
lot of people
yeah.
like him and stuff. And he seems to be that kind of guy. He seems to sort of like find talents and be like, oh yeah, that'd be great, sure. So
Mm.
you must have been very shell shocked.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was like, wait, like who is this then? And then I looked it up, and I was like, oh, this guy has made like some of the greatest soundtracks at all, like ever. And I'm in a Zoom meeting with him right now. Like this is crazy. It was mental.
Oh God, what I do to talk to Jun Sonoe, that's for sure. But I did
Yeah.
speak to Johnny Gioeli of Crush 40. I did speak to him, um,
Okay, yeah.
which Jun's a part of. And I was speaking to him about when he made the previous Sonic mainline title themes, how he sort of wrote the themes. So when you wrote I'm Here, what were you sort of like given for inspiration? Because he was telling me that, oh, we had like concept art and things like that. Were you given things like that, or maybe gameplay or something like that? What were you given?
Yeah, I got I guess the intention of what Sonic was with the newest installment is going to be like in terms of how like where the company sort of is going with it, and so like keywords and all like sort of outlines of like themes, I guess, within the game. And yeah, just sort of was told make the song about this, or like sort of like going to a new place and like leaving the past behind, and just sort of like little key phrases like that. And then yeah, it was sort of left to my own devices. I did one draft of it, and then they were like, okay, yeah, this is fine. Like change this one word, and then they're like, otherwise, this is great. Like you nailed it. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. I don't have to pay for more studio time.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible that you kind of nailed it almost on the spot. And another sort of interesting question I'd like to ask you about it is like, what is like writing a song from a game for a game like compared to maybe like writing a song for like Two Octavia or something like that?
I think the outside direction really helped with like the creative process, rather than having to come up with your own theme, like your own story, your own outline, and then having to translate that into some sort of emotive, poetic, journey for the lyrics to take. It's much easier when half of that work is already done for you, and then they just, yeah, you sort of get to put the tape over the box and finish it up rather than, yeah, starting from scratch. I think it's a lot harder to start from scratch.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And what was it like recording the song? Like, who was there watching it? Was it like Jun Snowy or Tomoyo Otani, the composer of the damn thing? Tell me that recording process. What was going on there?
So I went to the guy who produces all the To Octavia music because I was like, I don't want anyone else to beat it like that, because me and him have just developed this great working and personal relationship that we were just like, I need you there. Like, this is too much. So I went over to his studio, and on the Zoom chat was Otani, who like composed the thing under Jun's production, and a like a translator that was there to sort of like help any sort of direction or any notes or anything like that. So they were in my headphones while I was in the booth, like, and so I'd finish a line or something, and then I would hear like Otani saying some Japanese or them sort of speaking to each other, and I'm like, do they like it? Do they not like it? And then the translator would be like, yeah, no, that's good. And I was like, okay, sweet, thank you. So it was definitely a different experience like than I've ever had recording anything. Just having other people that I don't know who are employing you to make something for them on the Zoom, like inside your headphones while you're while you're performing is just strange. But it definitely, like I said, with that direction, it definitely made the process easier.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think you maybe had like a bit of pressure almost to sort of get it right or whatnot? Was there any sort of that happening?
Yeah, I warmed up for like an hour and a half before. Like, I woke up super early and we started at like 11 a.m. So I couldn't do the first line bad. You know what I mean? And then be like, we made a horrible mistake. So I just warmed up so much. And then I think by the time I got to the studio, I was like, well, I'm at like in the best condition that I could probably get to right now. So I'm just gonna like do my best, and that's all I can really ask of myself. And I think that was my mindset going in, was just like, there's nothing you can do except do your best, and if they like it, they like it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And now that the game's already out and everything, how does it like feel to be part of such a big franchise like Sonic, especially like appearing on a soundtrack which also includes the biggest J-pop band at the moment, One OK Rock?
Oh yes, I love One OK Rock too. When I found out they were doing the ending theme, I was like, what? Like, this is so the start and ending themes is One OK Rock, and then like me. Like, I never thought at all. And like, going back to what I said about how I got into music through games like Tony Hawk Pro Skater and the WWE SmackDown games, I always, and then eventually like Guitar Hero and stuff like that. One of my dreams was always to I want to be like in a game, somehow, whether that be um like a character model or like a voice actor or something. And then finally, I guess, like after all this time, like a dream since I was little to be in a game, and now my voice is on the new Sonic game, and it's literally a dream come true.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you mentioned there about like maybe as a kid you wanted to like maybe appear in a game, maybe as a voice actor and stuff. Have you ever tried acting? Because you do find that a lot of singers they try acting and sometimes they actually are better than you expect.
Yeah, true. Like Jared Leto, perhaps, is an example. Um, but yeah, no, I've definitely had that thought. And when, like, I've always wanted to push the band to do like a narrative music video so that I can get a reel going. But but it's so expensive. So we were always like, maybe not. But yeah, I've always respected acting and think that it's something I could, given the opportunity, try.
Yeah, yeah. And as well as that, going back a little bit to the old Sonic, recently there's been an announcement. They're actually rolling it out, which is a Sonic Symphony, where they're going around practically all around the world and they're playing all the Sonic music. Recently in Brazil, they played an orchestrated version of I'm Here. So what I was wondering was, because there's kind of like little birdies telling other people that Crush 40 might make an appearance. Have you ever, if would you be open to like maybe doing an appearance in the Sonic Symphony, performing "I'm Here" or something like that?
Yes, I would do it. No question, for sure. That would be amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah, that'd be really cool. That'd be absolutely cool. And actually, speaking about tours and everything, you did do a couple of tours and like gigs and everything with To Octavia. What was the sort of places that you went to and all that?
So we've done a few tours as a supporting band and one headline tour. Basically, in Australia, everything is so far away from each other. Like the next city from Melbourne is like 9 hours driving,
Oh
and so
God.
it's yeah, basically you've got a few, especially because we're not like probably big enough to play in like small towns. It's mainly the cities that really anybody knows who we are. So we basically just hit like the East Coast. There's like four cities, and so we just sort of go up and down there, and yeah, like Adelaide, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, those places.
Gee. And is there any sort of plans to maybe like bring the band like outside of the country to even like attempt to do it?
Yeah, we've that's definitely in our next sort of goals is to tour internationally. Yeah, it's just a matter of cost really at this point, since we're still independent and working independently. But yeah, definitely my our goal is for sure like Europe, EU, like America, that's always there, right, as a priority for us.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And speaking about sort of goals and the future and everything, I thought I'd maybe sort of ask like questions relating to maybe the future of yourself and the band and everything. Firstly, is there any sort of plans into Octavia to do like a full-on album? Because the last two releases have been EPs, so are you thinking of
Mhm.
maybe, all right, let's do something a little bigger than expected, you know?
Yeah, so we've talked about that extensively about when we would do a full length record, and so it's definitely um, coming in the future. We're definitely going to do one. It's just yeah, we're very perfectionist, I guess, about all the songs that we have, and we're notorious for cutting ones that we don't that we don't think are as good as the other ones. So we might have like 15 songs, and we'll cut like eight of them because we don't use them. So then that's when we get the 6 track EP. But yeah, we're working towards that for sure.
Yeah, yeah, which should be very cool when you manage to do it. And another thing I'd also like to ask is there maybe any sort of plans to maybe like do your own sort of solo album? Like I see the guitars like right behind you, like you could do it if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, I always play around with different genres and different sort of energies when I'm writing here alone. But generally, all of the ideas that I come up with, I'll show the band. I mean, not necessarily because I want it to be a part of To Octavia, but just because they're like my best friends, and if I make something I like, I'm gonna show them. And generally, they're like, I'll be like, "Oh, I don't think we could use this for To Octavia. Like, it's a bit weird." And then like a lot with, especially the new stuff, they're like, we could use this for To Octavia. Like, don't save this for a solo thing. Like let's use this. So we're very much more interested in experimenting with other things. But I mean, I'd love to, if I make something that is weird enough that To Octavia don't want it, but I still love it, I'm gonna drop it myself.
Well, that should be cool. That should be absolutely cool. And the final of my questions for you today, a bit of a mad one, but I actually think the band would actually do really well if they actually entered it. So because you're Australians and you can enter Eurovision, is there any plans to enter Eurovision, or would you ever like think of entering that?
I would love to. I know our guitarist Molly, she would love that as well. I'm pretty sure, knowing her. Yes, I would absolutely love that. Eurovision is so cool.
Oh yeah, that'd be absolutely incredible. And I'm sure like, you do like decently well because Australia seem to do very good anyways. And then like metal stuff and rock stuff, that usually does well too. So like that'd be like the perfect combo, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That'd be amazing. I'm gonna find out how to apply.
Yeah, I think like I don't know what it's like for Australia, but I know in Ireland you have to like obviously come up with something that is original, that's 3 minutes, and then you have to enter it into your national broadcaster, and then either like depending on the country, they either internally select it, or you go into like
Oh yeah, I think they do.
or you go into like a competition where the public vote for what the best song they think is.
Yeah.
So it's one or the
I
other.
think it's internally selected here.
All right. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, look, with that all said, Mary, thank you very much for coming on. Is there any sort of last things you'd like to say? And would you like to plug in the old socials?
Yes, listen to Octavia. We are very excited about our future. We've got lots of awesome material ready to go. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at To Octavia. And yeah, hope everyone has a wonderful day or night. Thank you for listening.
And you can find me simply on my YouTube channel, Jack Lucas Caffrey. You may already be on my YouTube channel if you're watching this interview on YouTube. But Mary, thank you very much for coming on. And is there any sort of last song you'd like to play out? I already played I'm Here at the beginning. So what maybe from To Octavia would you like to play now?
Should play Sleep by To Octavia.
All right, Sleep by To Octavia is coming up next. And Mary, thank you very much for coming on. And yes, we'll speak to you soon.
Bye.